Got drafted in 1966, so I was 24 years old. I had a friend of mine who, when we graduated from high school, he went in the Air Force. And he said to me, you know, you're probably going to get drafted as things escalated in Vietnam. I got drafted about a month later. And that was the beginning of my career in the service. And I felt pretty stable. I was 24 years old. And my feeling about getting drafted is whatever happened, I'm going to get through it. And it wasn't really that much of a concern at that time because I didn't know really what I was getting into.
Right.
At the end of basic training, my orders were to go to advanced infantry training. And when we actually got close to Vietnam, it was in the morning. Then as we got a little bit closer, if you look down at the ground, you might see a couple illuminations. Probably something to do with artillery or bombs or something like that. I was put into the 25th Infantry Division, 2nd Battalion, 14th Infantry, which was stationed in Cu Chi. When I got to this particular place, the 2nd Battalion, they were out on a mission. Well, when they got back, and as I would do in the future when I got back, you were very happy to get back. In that individual platoon, that might have started off with 20 people, when you got back, there might only be 10 people left. Some had gotten wounded, some had gotten killed. That was it. And I, talked to different guys and, kind of befriended some, who had been there, and some were short-timers, they were called. Everyone had, I'd say everyone had some kind of a picture with 365 little dots on it or this or that. And every day you'd block out another day until you knew that you were going to be a short timer when you had a couple weeks left. In the morning you'd get up, you'd put on your gear, they'd truck you over to where the choppers would come in, and you'd wait. What was going on before you got there, the area where the landing zone was, they were prepping it with support artillery, maybe airstrikes, bombing. It could have been anything. Agent Orange to kill stuff. And, you were very conscious of where you were. Anything and everything that you ever thought about pretty much happened. There was always an element of surprise, fear, anxiety, eventually you're going to hear a gunshot. Whenever you heard a shot, everybody hit the ground. And the very first thing to do is to return fire. Even though you didn't know what you were shooting at or what. If you heard a shot, which wasn't unusual just to hear one shot, it could hold us down for a half a day. You have some interesting things that came out of seeing different things, how you would respond to other people. There was definitely prejudice between the whites and the blacks. Hate to say it like that, and I was a defender of the blacks. And when I'd see some of these guys that were, in my way of thinking, Southern bigots, bigots from anywhere. And on occasion, a few times, a black guy would save their life. And I could see from my point how that happened. And when I got back, I'd love to put it in their face and say, you know, if it wasn't for Weed Bush, you'd fucking be dead. And don't ever forget that. You know, it just, and I hope that maybe that was a good thing that came out of a couple things, you know. The crew that came back, they showed me pictures they took of heads, about 4 or 5 heads that they cut off of the enemy. This is the very first day I get there. I am like really out of my comfort zone because I'm thinking I'm not doing this. I mean, they were like, they had quite a few casualties. That's the hard part, because if other people get killed around you, you can find yourself anything you ever expected you would or wouldn't be doing is not really too much of a thought, it's just a reaction. You know, it's kind of like life and death, because people are dying around you. So when I first got there and I saw those pictures, I was disturbed. I mean, I'm sorry these guys ever showed me these pictures. I never ever saw that again the entire time I was there. Medals were, everybody that was there had medals. It's, you know. Actually, the Bronze Star was more of a, one of those days where we had, just got caught with a lot of enemy fire. In front of me, not that far from me, maybe, I don't know, about 20, 30 feet, the guy got killed. Well, he looked like he definitely was not moving. And the enemy kept shooting, firing at him. And I went up, grabbed him, and took him out. And that's when I got that. I didn't like the idea that they kept, you know, he was already dead. That's why I got a Bronze Star. One of the hard one for me, there was a young guy, he had been there not too long, a blonde-haired kid from California. And he was point man. And that was a very hard position to be in, a point man. He just got blown to bits. Nothing left of him. Absolutely nothing. And remember, everything around you is very green, but everything turned pink, flesh. That I remember a lot. That was one of the most difficult times for me. But for me, once again, I really never felt like I had a lot of adverse reaction to, not much ever really comes to mind with me. Conversation like this is a major thing for me to get into a detail. I normally don't, I guess I blocked it out over the years. I don't think about it. Whenever I hear helicopters, I just think of Vietnam. Actually, I love riding in the helicopters. That was the highlight of being there. I think I got out in October of '68. Two of my closest friends wanted me to become a partner with them in what was basically a head shop. When I got home, I was already a partner in the store, and I'm still in the Army. That period of time, the new wave, long hair, the Beatles, and everybody else and everything else, free love, etc., it just exploded. And here I am getting back from Vietnam, and we have a shop that's basically catering and a part of that culture. I probably had a lot of pent-up anger, let's say. And but I contained it pretty well. There were a few occasions where things happened that it just got to me to a point where I almost got into a fight. And it was just that somebody probably didn't know that I had just come back from Vietnam, or they probably wouldn't have said anything. I had friends that did not want to go to Vietnam, that did everything in their power not to go. I never held that against them, and I still don't. And for a lot of people, they said, hey, this is ridiculous, I'm not going to do this. I know that they probably are looked at a little less, but it shouldn't really be that way, in my personal opinion. We sold the business in 1971. Now, that was my career with that business, then we sold it.
Where'd you go after that?
I wanted to ski.